Hello and welcome to the 49ers First and 10 podcast, 10 minutes of the most up-to-date 49ers news first thing in the morning. I'm your host, Brianna McDonald, and I'm joined by 49ers team reporter Lindsay Polares. The San Francisco 49ers have officially landed in Las Vegas. Lindsay and I are also here to cover everything that's going on ahead of Super Bowl LVIII this Sunday. But the team had a super spirited send-off yesterday. The faithful showed out and shared their love and support for the team by cheering for them right outside the parking lot, on the tarmac, even entering the team hotel in Vegas last night. And Lindsay, you were there to see it and experience it all. So what were those moments like?
Oh my goodness, faithful. Just give yourselves a pat on the back, give yourselves hugs, you deserve all the flowers. I have never seen a send off like that, and it was something I know that everyone in the organization is going to treasure and hold near and dear to their hearts. It was so cool. I think, you start off with just leaving the stadium. There were fans piled on both sides of the street, and just they had posters, they were wearing their Niner gear, and then it was also at the VTA stop there were fans up the stairways, so much good energy, and I know everyone had their phones out and they were really just taking the moment in, because so special to have the support of your fan base. And I do want to mention that we had a pretty intense storm in Santa Clara yesterday as well. So to bring that energy, rain or shine, so very cool. And then when you actually land in Vegas, also the 49ers were greeted by a long line of cameras, all the media covering Super Bowl LVIII. They were here ahead of the team plane landing, and there were Elvises. The players got some really cool Vegas themed welcome hats with our 49ers logos on them. Everyone's just so excited. And I think obviously the send off, the arrival, everything made just a little bit sweeter, because of all the festivities. And also, I did want to give a shout out to our very gracious flight attendants. They decorated the plane. There were Super Bowl little banners hanging, Vegas banners. Everyone's just so excited. Pretty much everyone that's just near the organization, so energetic about Super Bowl LVIII. I cannot believe this is game week. So just a really, really exciting time in the organization.
Yeah, how cool. How did the team receive and react to all the love and support they got from the faithful yesterday? And I'm thinking about the players who haven't made it to this stage before, like Trent Williams and Brandon Ayuk. How did they look? I know you're not able to hold full conversations with the guys as you all are traveling, but just by watching them board the plane and land in Las Vegas and seeing their big smiles light up on their faces, just how did they look?
I think they're all just super excited. You mentioned Trent Williams. He's been in the league for 14 years now. And I actually got a pretty good shot of him. I was going live from the 49ers team account as all of our players were deplaning. And I did catch him just walking off the plane. And obviously, I can't guess what's going through his mind, but it did look like he was really just soaking the moment in. He had a huge smile on his face. And it's hard not to smile when you see all the festivities surrounding it. I think, you think of rookies, like I saw Jair Brown, he was going live during portions of the day, and you see them walk off the plane. Everyone had a huge smile on their face. This is obviously, only two teams make it to the Super Bowl every year. So you really have to cherish the moments as they're happening, because from everything I've been told about this week, this is my first time covering a Super Bowl from the team side. It just goes by really quickly. It's a wonderful whirlwind. And so I think a lot of the guys really are just taking the moments in, savoring the memories, and then just looking forward to obviously the big game that's on Sunday.
Yeah, these moments are really, really special, and the guys are enjoying them. But we all know that the team is laser focused on this Sunday after a full week of full speed practice and preparation for the Chiefs. And we heard from defensive coordinator Steve Wilks just before their final day in Santa Clara, and he broke down Kansas City's offense a bit. One of the biggest topics of conversation has been the Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce connection. and how they've become successful at ad-libbing plays. So how did Steve Wilks address how the 49ers defense is going to try and attack that?
I think the first thing he addressed is that you have to be aware that both of these players, Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes, are future first ballot Hall of Famers, right? So they are talented. They've been playing a ton of football together for many, many years. And you just have to know what to expect, right? The first thing, of course, is Patrick Mahomes can extend plays. And that's something that Steve Wilks talked about. We heard Nick Bosa talk about. I mean, really, pretty much anybody on this team has spoken about just how Patrick Mahomes is very dangerous outside the pocket when he's scrambling. And so the best thing that Steve Wilks offered, especially when you've got someone that's equally as talented on the receiving end of all his passes, is that you've got to plaster whatever zone that you're defending. We heard Charvarius Ward talk about it too. It's you have to up the intensity because they have that chemistry. Nothing is going to take that away from them. So it really is about staying on assignment, bringing the intensity, making sure that you tackle well. And really, I mean, you have to just play with whatever ad lib play that they give you. But I do know that the 49ers are ready. They're very aware of what is awaiting them in Super Bowl 58. And, you heard veterans, you heard defensive coordinator Steve Wilks talk about it. You just have to play 100% effort for 3 hours.
Yeah, another guy that Steve Wilks highlighted was running back Isaiah Pacheco. What was his scouting report on him and how he's planning attacking the run game?
Yeah, Isaiah Pacheco is going to definitely be one of the many players to watch on this Kansas City Chiefs team. He led the team in rushing yards during the regular season and also during the postseason. He's got a ton of experience despite only being in the league for a couple seasons. He's got 75 plus scrimmage yards in all 6 of the playoff games that he's been a part of. And that's somebody that the 49ers are certainly going to have to keep an eye on. Steve Wilks described him as a guy that definitely is not brought down easily, runs super hard. And so he said, we've got to have this gang tackle approach to make sure that he does go down because he's not one to go down on first contact. There's definitely, obviously, a lot of respect from the 49ers side for what Isaiah Pacheco has done. But they certainly are up for the challenge.
Yeah, and another guy that's been talked about a lot last week and this week is cornerback Charvarius Ward, as he's going up against his former team in the Super Bowl. And what I liked about what Steve Wilks had to say about him is that Charvarius Ward, he has this very chill, laid back, but focused demeanor. But when he realized, okay, he's going against his former team at the biggest stage, that he kind of kicked into a new gear starting practice last week. So you wrote a really cool story about Mooney and what his experience has been like over practice this week, but just tell us what his mindset is like going into this Sunday.
Yeah, I think one of the first things he opened with, and I think it just shows the respect that this team really has for the Kansas City Chiefs, is that he said that they are some of the best in the world. And it's really hard to argue that because this Kansas City Chiefs team has been to the Super Bowl 4 times over a span of 6 years, right? They are in what I'm sure will be called their dynasty era, years and decades from now. So again, it's about realizing what you're up against, but he said the emotions are high, and he's excited to have a chance at knocking off some of the best to ever do it. And I think that's the energy you have to bring, right? Because there's no you shouldn't undersell your opponent, and I think if you know what you're up against, you can plan better, attack better, and hopefully get the outcome that you want. I know, as you mentioned, Charvarius Ward is a very relaxed guy, and he doesn't really he doesn't change that despite whatever stakes the game may be. And you heard him, he was very cool, calm, collected during really all his presser we had before we left the stadium. So, and I do think that is the mentality he's going to keep throughout this week.
Nice. Well, looking ahead, opening night is tonight, and it is at Allegiant Stadium, the home of Super Bowl 58. And basically what it is that the entire squad makes an appearance in downtown Las Vegas. It's their first public appearance during Super Bowl week, and basically hundreds of media will interview the players and coaches for the first time before taking the field for the Super Bowl. And this is the only time that the two teams will be together in one spot prior to Sunday. So it's really cool. There's probably going to be a quarterback conversation between Brock Purdy and Patrick Mahomes. We get to hear from the coaches and from players all over each team. But what are you most excited for, and what are you looking to in this one?
I think I'm just excited to take in the very large mass of people that are going to be flooding into Allegiant Stadium. I think the conversations and the interviews that come out of opening night are always so fun. They're typically lighthearted, right? I mean, I'm sure people will get their questions in, because you can it is a little bit of a free for all from what I'm told and kind of what I remember from years past. But I think it's going to be really fun. Again, this is another event, and like you mentioned, really the only mandated one where both teams will be crossing paths. So there will be fun conversations. I'm going to be roaming around with a camera, capturing content. We're going to have a lot of really cool stuff coming out of this night. So faithful, stay tuned. We're going to try our best to make you feel like you're at opening night with us. And I know there's just a lot of excitement, and I think we're all looking forward to sharing it with you all.
Absolutely. Well, that will do it for this episode. Thank you, Lindsay, for joining me in this update. Don't forget to follow First and 10 on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Turn on the notifications so you're in the know when we post any breaking news updates. And thank you, Faithful, for tuning in.